Preparing for the test. This is a guide for parents of candidates sitting the NUFYPET entrance tests. Nazarbayev University is working with Cambridge Assessment Admissions Testing to produce, administer and assess entrance tests for their foundation year programme. The NUFYPET entrance tests evaluate academic ability in core subjects that are studied or used at university level. To be successful in the NUFYPET admissions tests, it is important that candidates are aware of the format and nature of the tests so that they can suitably prepare for the exam. All candidates will take a mathematics test, followed by a subject chosen from chemistry and biology, physics, or thinking skills. Each of the tests, including mathematics, consists of 30 multiple choice questions and will take 1 hour. Both tests are done on the same day, so candidates will be answering 60 questions in a 2-hour, that is 120 minutes, session. How to prepare for the tests. It is important that candidates are familiar with the structure of the tests, the format of the questions, and the topics covered in the test. All of this information is available on the university website in the specification documents and sample papers. In each subject specification, the topics that can be assessed in the test are listed. For example, here is one of the sections in the mathematics specification. The specification documents for mathematics, physics, chemistry and biology all list the topics that can be assessed. Candidates need to look through the topics and make sure they are confident they understand each of these. For thinking skills, there is no specific knowledge assumed. Instead, the specification explains the different areas, critical thinking and problem solving, and describes the different types of question that can appear on the test. It is important to be aware that the questions in these tests assess a candidate's understanding and ability to apply their knowledge. Given that, the best way to prepare is to take a close look at the specimen papers on the website and become familiar with the style of questions. Each test question paper gives clear instructions on how to do the test. It is important to remember that there are no penalties for incorrect answers. Questions are all multiple choice with only one correct answer. All of the questions should be attempted. Sample questions with the answers explained and specimen papers are available on the university website. Each question presents some information in the form of text, data, and/or images. Then there is a specific question and the answer options are listed below that. With the thinking skills questions, it is important to remember that the questions do not require any subject knowledge. Each question contains all the necessary information to answer it. A candidate will need to look at the logical structure, the reasoning within the question, and carefully select the relevant information to answer the questions. These are all skills that are essential to success at university. To summarise, the best way to prepare for the tests is: first, read through the specifications; second, review any unfamiliar topics; thirdly, practice by doing the specimen paper; and finally, review your answers to the specimen questions and the worked answers that are provided. Section 2. On the day of the test. This is a guide for parents of candidates sitting the NUFYPET entrance tests. On the day of the test, candidates will need to arrive early. Once the test has started, nobody will be admitted into the test room. Candidates will only need to bring appropriate photo identification to the test. This must be a national ID or a passport. If only a birth certificate is available, then a document from the candidate's secondary school containing the candidate's photograph, signed and stamped by the school principal, must also be provided. If a candidate fails to present the accepted identification documents, they shall not be allowed to take the test. Pencils, etc. will be provided within the test room, so candidates do not need to bring anything else. Electronic devices, phones, calculators and other items are not permitted. All personal belongings should be left outside of the test room or handed to a supervisor. candidates are allowed to bring water in a clear plastic bottle into the test room. On the day of the test, candidates will have their identification checked. They will then be checked for unauthorised items with a metal detection wand before being allowed into the test room, and once at their desk they will have their identification checked again. While in the test room, candidates are not permitted to speak to each other. It is important that each candidate listens carefully to the instructions from the supervisor and also reads through the instructions on the front cover of the question paper. If a candidate needs to inform the supervisor of anything, they should raise their hand and wait for a supervisor or invigilator to speak with them. Remember that in the test room, candidates are not permitted to speak with each other, they cannot look at the papers of other candidates, and they may not stand up or leave the room without permission. Once the test has started, nobody will be allowed to enter the room, and candidates may only leave in an emergency with the permission of the supervisor until the scheduled time for the test has finished. There will be no scheduled toilet breaks for candidates. If there is an emergency, candidates must raise their hand and wait for an invigilator to escort them out of the room. They must not stand up and walk to the toilet without an invigilator, even in the break between the tests. Here is an example of the front page of the mathematics test. Candidates must carefully read through the instructions on the front page of the question paper. Candidates must not open the question paper until instructed to do so by the supervisor. Once started, candidates will have 60 minutes to do each test. This means that candidates will have an average of 2 minutes for each question, so they must work quickly and efficiently. If a question is taking a longer amount of time, it may be best to move on to another question and return to the particular question at the end of the time. While candidates cannot use calculators or additional paper, they can write on the question paper. Any writing on the question paper will not be marked. Only answers on the answer sheet are marked. So candidates may do calculations, draw diagrams, underline keywords, etc. on the question paper to help them determine the answer. For each test, there will be an answer sheet like the one shown here. No marks will be lost for an incorrect answer, so it is recommended that candidates provide an answer to every question. In the last 5 minutes of the hour, candidates should check that all their answers are on the answer sheet and that every question has been answered. Candidates will not be permitted to leave the test room until all of the papers have been collected. Candidates may not take any question papers or answer sheets out of the test room. Top tips for the day of the test. 1. Only bring the required identification into the test room. 2. Follow the instructions of the supervisors. 3. Work quickly through the questions to make sure all of them are answered. And 4. Make sure all your answers are on the answer sheet. After the test. This is a guide for parents of candidates sitting the NUFYPET entrance tests. Once the tests are completed, the question papers and answer sheets are all collected in, and Cambridge Assessment marks the answer sheets and determines a score for each test. The scores are then passed on to the university. The NUFYPET entrance test is assessed on a standardised scale from 0 to 120 points for each subject section. The university has clearly stated the scores required for entry. With the NUFYPET entrance tests, the minimum passing score is 120 in total for the 2 subjects, with a passing level for each subject to be no less than 50. The university decision on scores is final, and there is no appeal procedure available. The university places the test results in each candidate's personal account on the university portal 3 weeks after the last test date. Candidates will be given an individual score for each of the tests.